Okay, it's Future of Work. We've got Max Justin. We've got a special guest this week, this month, I should say, Julie Seitz, who we'll get to in a second. I just want to make sure to kind of set the groundwork here and share with you what we have been doing. Max and I have been talking about the future of work. Initially, we discussed why we have to have these conversations. And then we kind of dove in on the digital environment and what carbon-based workforces have to deal with, and that includes their digital workforce counterparts. This time, we're here to talk about physical workspaces and the future of work in those physical workspaces, and that's why we're bringing in Julie. So, Julie, thank you so much for doing this. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Please set us up with a little bit of background so we understand what you have been working on.
Sure. So I've really been an avid studier and learner around where, how people use workspaces, how work is getting done, all the different places it's getting done, kind of where I think it's important to look at history, where it's come from, and all the changes that I see happening that are informing how corporations and other entities are really thinking about the physical space going forward, and how we appeal to those that are going to come well after us. I like to think about what's today's fifth grader going to want to work in when that student gets into the workforce.
Very interesting. So focus on the fifth grader. What else is on my list of things to do right now when considering the physical space in terms of the future of work?
Well, I think, first of all, get out there and see what other people are doing. We can get rather insular in our businesses or our work life, and it's important to watch people. How are people working in airports? How are they working in office spaces? How are they working in a hospital cafeteria? And what are kids doing in school? Where are colleges and universities going? So don't be too insular. Get out there, explore, see what's happening. That's number one. Number two, there's no way to future-proof yourself in this. The world is changing very rapidly. So make sure you're designing and building spaces that are very flexible, that, you can, where it just requires a furniture change, perhaps 5 years from now, in order to modernize. So I'd say fewer walls, less hard infrastructure that's very difficult and expensive to change later. So stay flexible, be out there, read about the trends, see what's coming in the technology world. I'm not a fan of buying a lot of pieces and parts that have technology embedded, because technology changes much faster than physical furniture or things like that change. So I think as much as you can stay flexible, that's as good as we can get in this industry around future-proofing.
All right. And you just mentioned future-proofing at the end. You mentioned it at the beginning as well. You gave us a lot there, and thank you so much. Easy for me to say. But as far as future-proofing, what I'm hearing is beware of that term. That's not necessarily something that you can do. That's interesting.
Yeah, I agree. We don't know where the world's going. We don't know when driverless cars are going to be here. We're probably going to tear down our parking decks at some point. We don't know exactly when that's going to happen or how we might be able to repurpose them. But I think that's why it's important to understand what's happening in the world, keep up with it. If you think you need to build a new parking garage today, I would say look at ways that parking garage could be turned into something else when you don't need it, because I think that time is coming. So stay agile and be flexible.
Yes, staying agile, and I can't wait to talk to you about parking garages maybe next time. But
yeah.
One last thing I wanted to discuss with you before we get to Max and maybe his thoughts on all of this is, you mentioned the fifth grader and the classroom, because we're all in airports all the time. We're all in offices. We're, unfortunately, some of us at some points are in hospitals, as you mentioned. Give us a sense of what we might see in that fifth grade classroom that might surprise us. What have you seen?
Right. Yeah. So I like to ask executives and have them tell me where their kids are in school, and have they seen their classroom of recent, whether that's on the university setting or primary or secondary school setting. And it's when you start to talk to people and have them explain their children's classroom, they start to connect the dots to understand that today's classroom looks nothing like the classroom most of us grew up in. So today's fifth grader, even today's high school student in the United States, typically you're not seeing rows of desks. Kids are not coming in and walking down a row of desks and they're the third one down and 4 rows over. You see a lot of teaming, you see tables, they move throughout the day working on different things. They go to different kinds of spaces during the day that are more appropriate for the task they're doing. I'm excited. I'm going to a brand new high school in a couple of weeks that just opened. I'm excited to see that. It's an educator who really pushes the edge in the United States and has just opened this new high school, and it's dramatic. I've seen some photos, and it is I don't spot one desk in all the photos. So when we think about that and how people are going to come to work when they're 22, and we show them a desk, they're going to look at us like it's a rotary phone. They're not going to know what it is. So the days of rows and rows of desks and expecting people to continue to conform to that is going to go away at some point. We're still designing space and building space because we have 5 generations of folks in the workforce today. But I can tell you, we've got to move away from worrying so much about the older workforce and what they need, because else we're going to find ourselves left behind.
All right. So us Generation Xers and Boomers, let's not worry about us so much, right? We'll figure it out. Let's focus on the future. So Max, as Julie has just shared with us, a ton of information, staying agile, avoiding parking garages, working wherever you are, and we won't necessarily name where you are right now, but you're on the road. What are your takeaways from what Julie has shared?
I can't agree more. Well, the parking garage thing, I didn't have it in my radar. So it was, I never thought of it. So it's pretty interesting. But, when I think about, for example, the type of work that I'm doing right now, which is very much related to innovation, software developer, where a lot of the people that Julie was talking about is working in my teams, and it's a mix, and sometimes you cannot, the problem to me is that right now, when you truly want to innovate and do something new, you cannot do it on your own anymore. You need a group of people. And some of those people are there. Some of those people are in another part of the world. And all of us need to be part of this networked organization. And that cannot be in the context of individual desks. And let me give you a concrete example. I want to launch a new a feature in the software I'm working on that I don't know if I'm right. I think I am, I'm doing my best to try to, figure out all the data that I have to make sure that feature is right, but I'm not really sure. I need to test it, and I need a group of people to work with me. If I work on the regular setting that I have, it's just, I cannot do a lab. I cannot do a testing environment where I have a group of people that constantly collaborate with each other to achieve a common outcome. I cannot do it with the setting that we had. And I lived in an environment where Julie herself, and that's why I made the connection, helped us transform the working environment. And from there, we started to move. We started to make that progress in the direction that we were looking for. And that's what, like the bulb in my head that said, damn, the way, the space where we work makes a difference in our ability to achieve an outcome. And I didn't see it, and I have to recognize that the first times that I saw the initial drawings, and she and I probably can laugh about it because she was trying to convince me and doing some things that it didn't make any sense to me. And in the end, I don't know if I ever told you this, but you were totally right. After we started operating in a very different environment, more open, less walls, more collaboration, more meetings, spaces where people can sit down and work towards a common outcome, the outcomes come faster. And that to me was very powerful. And that's why I think workplace is a key piece of the future of work.
There we go.
Yep.
And speaking to you, Julie, did you want to just tack on something there at the end?
Well, I think the holy grail in this area of workplace is proving and measuring that it really does drive productivity and engagement. And all of us in this industry are trying to crack that nut. And we continue to get closer and closer to it. But we all believe and know that that workplace matters and space matters. And it's just we keep plugging along at how we are able to prove it with truly hard numbers that impact the bottom line.
There we go. So the blending of physical spaces with digital spaces, I can share success with our conversation right here, right? We're in 3 different physical spaces, all of which, with which the work is being done from the 3 of us, and we are all in one room at the same time. So Julie, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for sharing. Max, thanks as always, and very much looking forward to next time.
All right.
Thank you. And thank you, Julie.
Thank you. Thanks.